hello and welcome to Monday Talks. I'm your host, Ed Marshall. So glad you could be with us for the month of July. And of course, there's so much happening in July with it being midsummer, everything from vacations to staycations, if you will. And of course, you have the 4th of July and the big Essence Festival here in New Orleans. But there's also a very special anniversary that's coming up here in New Orleans that a lot of people may not know about. And it's 152 years. But I'm not going to tell you all that. I'm going to let the people that are my guests tell you more about that. Joining me now to my immediate left is Mr. Russell Green, and he is the president of the local chapter of the Buffalo Soldiers Riding Club. And to my far left is none other than Mr. Terry Jackson. And Terry, of course, is the president of the New Orleans chapter of the actual Calvary, the organization where you actually had the Buffalo Soldiers involved in terms of the military people. Let's start with you first, and I want to take a little time for us to kind of get a little history, because most people think about Buffalo Soldiers as being a riding club only, and Mardi Gras. They see the Buffalo Soldiers and they get excited. But it's so much more than that. Buffalo Soldiers do a whole lot in terms of community outreach and trying and talking to kids and the whole 9 yards. Terry, let's start with you. Tell us about the Buffalo Soldiers, and there's a marker that's at Audubon Park that a lot of people may not know about. Give us a little background on why it's there and how that the Buffalo Soldiers actually began down here.
Okay, that marker there was placed back in 2001, and it represents the beginning of where the 9th Cavalry was established up. A lot of folks here don't realize that Greenville, Louisiana, 1866, July 28th, was the establishment of the 9th Cavalry. Here, but it's, they know it is New Orleans, the zoo where we go. Mm-hmm. But a little historical, there were 2 cavalries. There was the 9th and the 10th, and there was also the 24th and the 25th Infantry, which the 25th Infantry is located down at Jackson Barracks. But that plaque there is to symbolize, it lets everyone know, New Orleanians, that the Buffalo Soldiers were here, and the 10th Cavalry is located up in Leavenworth.
Okay. And the Buffalo Soldiers were standout military folks. I mean, and if my history serves me correct, people didn't think that they could do all of the kind of military things that they did. So tell us about how some of the things that the actual Buffalo Soldiers got involved in and actually did a lot to help grow this country.
The Buffalo Soldiers were actually the pioneers that forged the way for the new civilization going west. They laid railroad tracks. They escorted the actual wagon trains. They also, a lot of people don't realize, they also were the ones that helped the local law enforcement keep justice, keep peace, as well as they built forts.
They did a whole lot of stuff.
They did a lot. They did a lot.
And I understand too. They were some of the people who actually guarded some of the money that was being transferred in different places. So there had to be a lot of trust value in terms of them. But they also got along very well with the local Indians. Tell us about that.
Their representation amongst the Indians initially, the Indians were helping them doing some tracking. But there was a situation called the Trail of Tears when the Native Americans were moved to the reservations. The Buffalo Soldiers were the ones that helped keep peace, but there were a lot of Native American Indians that were scouts that worked side by side with the Buffalo Soldiers. Initially, the Native Americans called the Buffalo Soldiers wild buffaloes because of the tenacity and the pride the tenacity in which they fought.
Right. So when they were given an order, it was well done.
It was well done.
My goodness, because they showed a lot of the soldiers with the flag and different things like that. And another tidbit, and somebody got that totally incorrect in terms of history. This is not fake news. This is real news. We're telling you about. They said that they named a Caucasian lady as being the first military lady in the U.S. Army, but that's not true.
That's not true as far as the Buffalo Soldiers. There were females that fought in the Civil War battles. But a lady by the name of Kathy Williams, she had to change her name to William Kathy just to be a member of the infantry. She is the first African American female documented to participate in the U.S. military.
Why did she want to join the military?
She wanted to join money, education. When she joined, it was post-Civil War. So she wanted a better way of life. She was a seamstress.
She was a slave, and okay,
Yes.
okay. And the interesting thing is, she was one of those people who did those Colorado rides and all that kind of stuff. And she later got married. And please share with our audience the tidbit on that even in her marriage, she was a tough lady.
Oh, she was a tough lady. It was documented from her own words that once she was discharged, medically discharged, she was married. And she didn't have kids, but her husband stole $100, a team of horses, so she called the law and put him in jail.
He should have known who he was messing with.
He know now.
Oh my goodness, this is great information, and we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the riding club, but also more of the history of the Buffalo Soldiers, and you're going to hear from Mr. Russell Green as well. But we wanted to give you an expanded version of about what the Buffalo Soldiers were, and ironically, people up north, they just totally value the Buffalo Soldiers. So many people in the South don't really know enough about how important this group of soldiers were. So when we come back, we're going to tell you more. So stay with us. More Money Talks is on the way, so don't go anyplace. Okay.
I love taking care of my mom. It wasn't easy at first. She learned how to better communicate her needs.
And you learned how to not ignore yours.
I discovered how to make healthier meals.
And I discovered how much I enjoyed them.
Becoming a caregiver is a learning experience for everyone. Find articles, tips, and tools from experts and others who have been in your place. The Caregiving Resource Center at aarp.org/caregiving.
Welcome back. We are talking with two of the Buffalo Soldiers here in New Orleans, and I must say that I am a proud member of the Buffalo Soldiers Riding Club, and that's one of the few things that I truly do for myself, and I got to do more of it because we were out riding last week, and I didn't do too well, so the horse and I got to get to know each other again. But anyway, welcome back. Let's go back to talk to Terry Jackson again, and he is the president of the local chapter for the actual military part of the organization. And you were mentioning that two people were honored from Louisiana that received some special awards for their activity and being involved in the Buffalo Soldiers.
What a lot of folks don't know is that the Buffalo Soldiers have the largest number of Medal of Honor winners. The first two to receive those medals were from Louisiana. One is Sergeant Emmanuel Stantz. He's from northern Louisiana. Mm-hmm. And the second one is First Sergeant William Moses, which is from, on his birth certificate, it said Mid-City.
So they're actually from the New Orleans area. Fantastic. Do we know if any of them if any of their relatives are still alive, or we have any kind of research to that effect yet? Or we,
ongoing.
Ongoing. Well, good. And I know when it's found, you're a history buff. It will definitely be told. Let's switch now and talk to the man to my immediate left, and that's Mr. Russell Green. And Russell, you're the president of the local riding club. Tell us give us a little background on the Buffalo Soldiers Riding Club and why it exists and why you got involved.
First of all, Ed, you did do a good job in riding last week. You did a good job.
You're very kind.
With the Buffalo Soldiers, we are Buffalo Soldiers historian. I know myself, I'm passionate about educating the general public on the Buffalo Soldiers, who they were, what they did, and even how they got their name. Mm-hmm. And we're more than just a riding club, basically. For instance, we have the Girl Scouts over there periodically just to educate them on the Buffalo Soldiers and teach them about horses and riding, basically.
Mm-hmm. And you know, we were talking off camera. So many young teens, particularly African American teens, don't really know a lot about horses and our history with horses.
Right, right. And what I find, and I'm real big on this, Ed, with kids, especially like you said, kid of color. When we ride in a parade, say for instance, we get other kids. They love the horses. They go up to the horses, run up to the horses. But you get kids of color, and they're afraid of the horses. So that's why I'm big on getting the kids of color introduced to these horses and petting them and let them to see this big gentle animal and what they are.
Because I mean, you know, handled correctly, these are beautiful animals, and they actually will look after you, you know, in many cases. And what I like about the horses that we have, you know, they're trained to understand the noise and that kind of thing of parades and things like that.
Absolutely. I mean, before parades, before we go out, we actually have parade practice, in which we might have noise or whatnot just to get the horses used to the loud noise in their surroundings. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, treating the horses right, and like you said, they are loyal animals.
Yeah, they really are. And also one of the things that I like about what both of you have taught me is that you can weed out the kids that are real serious about horses, because sometimes they think they just want to come out and jump on a horse and ride, and they'd have to learn how to take care of a horse and clean the stalls and those kind of things. So tell us about it. It's more to a horse than just riding a horse.
Yeah. Some of them actually, when we get schools that come to the barn every now and then, but when they come over, they think they're just gonna get on a horse and go and ride. With us, no, it's not that simple. You're gonna scoop up, you know, in the horse stalls and learn that first. Then you're gonna brush this horse down and give him the grooming, the proper grooming that it takes before we go out there and ride. Right. And then while you ride, you're gonna, especially me, if you're on top of my horse, you're gonna get a whole mouthful, especially on the Buffalo Soldiers, and like I said, who they were and what they done, just to keep that education going.
And that's important. So tell us some of the different things that the Buffalo Soldiers take part in. I mean, of course, Mardi Gras, and there are other things that are involved in places that you all go. You could jump into, Terry, in terms of not just locally, but also actually getting involved in other parts of the state and other parts of the country.
One of the things we done basically is we adopted a highway. You know, we adopt a highway, and I believe we have 2 Buffalo Soldiers sign. A lot of people don't know we have our name on 2 parts of the city, one being on St. Bernard and Broad, and the other one's on Orleans and Broad. And what we do is we actually adopted that part of the highway, picking up trash, and we're cleaning up, and that's how we want to keep it clean.
Yeah, that is beautiful. And you know, and so it shows our significance in terms of getting involved in the community, not just being a quote-unquote riding club, if you will.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah. And Terry, you I want you to mention too that there are also ladies in the club.
Yes, there are. The Buffalo Soldier Riding Club doesn't discriminate against race, age, color, creed, gender, ethnic background. You know, we're open to everyone that's willing to, number one, have fun. I don't use the word community service. I use community involvement. Buffalo Soldiers, as Russell was saying earlier, we do go out to schools, try to get involved in the schools and the community. We've done something as funny as going to community service and doing the balloon pitch, and but of course everybody, the star of the shows are the horses. Right. We just transport them. They take over.
Exactly.
But there's a plethora of things that we do out in the community. It's just being part of the community.
Right. And also it's good. I mean, and the guys that are in the club, and the ladies, they come from all different walks of life, professionals, whatever. I mean, it's just amazing how so many people from different, careers all come together.
We have retired people. We have people in law enforcement. We have somebody that worked in the medical field. We actually have somebody who works for the coroner's office. So all walks of life, like you're saying, everybody's welcome to join the organization.
We definitely want to hit, as one of our main goals, is to talk about what's going to be going on the 29th of this month. Terry, tell us about that.
The 28th of July is National Buffalo Soldiers Day across the country. But the national chapter and the Riding Club coming together, and we're going to celebrate that day on July 29th at 4 o'clock at Audubon Park. We're going to, it's going to be a short program. We're going to lay 2 wreaths at the monument. All riders are welcome to come. And we're going to line up at Cascade Stables, proceed around to the front. We're going to do a short presentation. Those that haven't dismount, we're going to remount on our horses and ride back. Free food and soda while it lasts.
Because the public is
open.
Okay. Well, we look forward to that, and I plan to be out there, and I'll plan to be in my uniform and wearing my hat too. Yeah. So, gentlemen, thank you all for being with us, and we'll see you on the 29th.
Thank you, Ed.
All right. All right. Thank y'all for being with us. We're going to have more Money Talks when we come back, so don't go anyplace, and we're not going to ride off either. Stay with us.
New Orleans is like a bicycle. It has a lot of moving parts, connected parts that all have to work as one. It takes some effort and some balance to keep everything going in the right direction. But when it all comes together, man, is the ride worth it. Blue Bikes, enjoy the ride.
Back to Money Talks. You know, during the summer months, there's so much to do, vacationing, everything else, but it also is statistical that crime also goes up during the summer months. And we're privileged to have with us again the president and CEO of Crime Stoppers GNO, and that, of course, is Darlene Costanza. Darlene, good to see you again.
Good to see you too, Ed.
And before I even start with the show, congratulations on your new grandbaby.
Thank you very much. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. Of course, he's a perfect angel.
Well, give our best to your daughter.
Thank you.
It is July, it's hot, and of course we have a lot going on with everything from Essence to so many things. People find us as a destination. So let's first of all talk about crime safety for July.
Definitely. I think when you're visiting any larger city, you need to use your common sense, and you need to kind of be aware of where you're walking, and check in with the hotel concierge and find out if there's an area that maybe you shouldn't be in. Mm-hmm. You know, find that out in advance. But it's important that you always try to be walking in a crowd and paying attention. So some of the things that you see is, you know, when you're in a crowded area where tourists are, pickpocketing. So to eliminate that, you want to make sure that your information, your materials, your money, your phone, or whatever is in front of you in a secured location. So if you're a woman, one of those crossbody bags is locked up, zipped up, or for a man, putting everything in the front pockets and not in your rear pockets. With the cell phones, I mean, there are the snatch and grabs. Yeah. So, you know, pay attention when you're walking and we're not just texting or whatever we're doing on that phone. You know, make sure that you're cognizant about what's around you when you're using the phone. The phone, though, is a great tool that if something did happen, take a photo. You know, because you're frightened, you're kind of not in that right mindset, but that photo can be your witness for you.
That's true.
So use the phone for those purposes if you're ever feeling uneasy. And then, of course, if you feel uneasy when someone's walking too close behind you or you just feel like something's not right, go to the nearest public location, whether it's inside of a store. Better yet, if you're walking past a fire station or a police station, go in and just wait a second. Yeah. You know, always listen to your gut because it's there for a reason. It's telling you something's not right.
That's that truth signal, huh? That's
Absolutely.
Right. That's right. When you were on last, we were talking about, of course, with people that were bumping cars and, you know, and doing that kind of thing. Give us an update on that situation and what people should do in case someone hits them and tries to take their car.
Right. Okay. Well, carjackings is a concern, I think, in a lot of different areas across the country. But for us, I mean, you want to be sure that, you know, first off, you're locking your doors. Even, I know it's hot, but try to keep your windows up when you're at a stop location. We're not really seeing so much of the bump and grabs. We're seeing people parking and then actually being approached as they park their car in an area, and then the bad guy wanting the car, trying to get the car or the merchandise or whatever that you might have. So if you are approached and someone comes around, and particularly if they have a handgun, they're saying, give me up your things, give me your car, comply. Put the keys, walk away. Don't challenge them. The car is a car. It's not worth your life.
That's right.
And then what you're leaving in your car is just as important. So if you're leaving items, cash on the dashboard or in the change area, electronics, handguns,
Anything
Lord
that's
forbid.
tempting that people can see.
People can see that, so they're going to say, well, this might be an easy target. So again, you could be approached by that. The number one rule, though, is someone who approaches you with any type of possible carjacking is don't get in the car. Get yourself out of that car, because things escalate tremendously if you're in the car and they drive off.
Yeah.
So if that happens to you, your first thing you're looking at is to call attention to yourself in that car and get out.
Right.
And it could be, if you're the driver, running into another parked car or something to cause an accident that you can actually escape from the car.
Right. And of course, we have had a program, and we still have it, lock it up,
Yes.
lock everything up.
The easiest thing that we can do is lock our cars. And this program is Lock It or Lose It.
Right.
It's been very well received. We see in neighborhoods taking the signs and putting up the lock your car door sign, which is really a simple message that you're responsible for what's in that car, and the easiest thing you do is make a game of it, lock it. Make sure you lock it every night, and don't leave things, particularly handguns, in the car or anything in plain view. Our statistic, and why we did the Lock It or Lose It campaign, was the number of guns that were taken just in 1 year. Several hundred, over 700 guns were taken in 1 year over the parishes that we work in. Those guns end up being used in other crimes. So, don't be foolish and don't think that what you put in your car, someone else is not going to easily just pull that, door handle, get in and out within minutes, or if not seconds, and steal your belongings.
Yeah. Well, let's switch gears a little bit. We have a teen ambassador program for Crime Stoppers. Tell our audience about that, and for young people who want to get involved, what can they do?
Sure, because now's the time to send in those applications.
That's it.
So our Teen Ambassadors Leadership Program is for high school students, and it's a year-long program, a school year program. We are in our 7th, I believe, year, and kids get to learn all about the criminal justice system. So if you want to consider law enforcement or the DA's office or whatever scene, even federal agencies as a possible career choice, it's going to show you, you're going to have opportunities to network with professionals. And then it talks about things that you might be concerned about, safety concerns, and how you can be an advocate for your friends or your family. What's the resources out there to combat these important issues? But you do need to fill out an application. All students from all different parishes are welcome to attend. You need to have your school sign off on approving the application. It's free. It's a lot of fun, and it's great opportunities for networking.
Yeah, and then go to the website and
go to the Crime Stoppers GNO website, or you can call the office at 837-8477 number, request the application, and we'd be more than happy to send it out.
Okay. As always, I always tell you, you're always on the run. Take a little time for yourself. Would you do that for me?
Thank you. I appreciate
All righty.
that.
And give your daughter a big hug for us.
I will do.
All right. And kiss that little baby.
Oh, we are.
Okay. Darlene, thank you for being with us. We appreciate it. We'll see you again. Okay. Well, if you're looking for a place to retire, the National Kiplinger website has rated the 50 best places to retire in 2018 in the United States. And nearby Lafayette, Louisiana is one of those places. Known as the capital of Cajun country, Lafayette is rich in history, distinctive foods, Cajun and Zydeco music. Nature lovers can appreciate the area too, located on the Mississippi Flyway and the Atchafalaya Loop of America's wetlands. Lafayette is reported to have a cost of living at 9.5% below the national average. Those aged 65 and up make up 12.5% of that population, and the median household income for that age group in Lafayette is just over $52,000. And we have our Making a Difference segment. We dedicate our Making a Difference segment tonight to a gentleman who for almost 3 decades helped direct the lives of hundreds of students at Xavier University. For that time, Vice President of Student Services and later Dean of Students, Joseph Byrd, has been part of the administrative footprint at this great institution of higher learning. Students and community leaders gathered recently at a special retirement ceremony to show their gratitude. We salute Dean Byrd for the years of helping students evolve into young professionals and for being a comfort to each semester's hundreds of parents who left their children in the university's care. Dean Byrd, you have enriched countless lives and you will be missed, remembered, and revered. Well, that's going to do it for Money Talks. We appreciate you being with us. Until next month, remember, it's your money making work for you, and to always stay in peace, not pieces. We'll see you.